for this work session is the solid waste sorter discussion. And so I will turn this over to, the Rose Canyon Drury Boys Sanitation Service, whoever wants to talk.
I have hired Patrick Gonzalez. He is my, project manager on this, so he's gonna do most of the talking.
Okay.
And just because I'm talking doesn't mean I know everything.
And it's not with Dirty Boys. We have formed a new corporation, called Wyoming Recovery and Recycle Corp., and it's operated and owned by 4 women, to help us hopefully get some grants.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this is not a Dirty Boys, project. This is a whole new, organization that is, hoping to get this off the ground. And, before we get started, I wanted to pass out some information, and I apologize for not getting this to you sooner. But this just gives you a little bit more information. It kind of goes in detail of how they phase the project and what's entailed.
Would you tell me the name of the new company again? I'm sorry.
Wyoming Recyclables, Wyoming Recovery and Recyclables Corp. And, Jordan Mendez, Nina, Garner now, myself and Nicole Garner are the, partners.
Thank you. Go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah, so what I've given you is, essentially a general outline and the phases that the company that would be, helping design and develop this, plant, that would take the municipal solid waste, primarily, the organics that help separate it, and then put the organic material into digesters is what they're referred to. And what the digesters do is the material is put into these, housed in these units for 30 days at approximately 150 degrees. It's mixed with some chemicals as well as, of all things, manure, and it breaks down the organic waste, and after that 30 days, it turns it into compost. And then there's also, as it goes through the recycling process, other bits of that organic, it gets some of the solid material, which turns into compost, but then there's also methane gas that's recaptured and can be reused, whether you want to put it like into, example, vehicles or something of that nature, and there's even the opportunity, the possibility to put it back into, Black Hills Energy, natural gas, it could be actually rerouted and distributed back into, the community for natural gas. So, that is, one of the nice things about what, these ladies are attempting to do is create an opportunity to take municipal solid waste, specifically the organic material, so it's reusable and it recycles back, help eliminating the cost, that all the solid waste is being put within the landfill. And then when you start getting into the brass tacks of how this all works, it helps alleviate a lot of the material that is going into the landfill. It also helps minimize the amount that's being transported out of our landfill and back to Casper, for example. One of the things that, I don't know if you're aware of this, but of the methane emissions that exist in the United States, 15% is generated by landfills. So approximately the 15% that's created through our landfills across this country is the equivalent of 21 million cars annually. And just having this plant will be able to help capture that methane, again, so we can reuse it, I couldn't get this information to you sooner. But I think we've also provided you with some information, regarding the zero waste, the technology, how it works. I believe you should have, 4 documents that look like this. I believe we provided that to you. This kind of gives you also a basic synopsis of how the municipal solid waste is transferred and transformed into reusable energy that can be used, electric power, like I said, it generates, natural gas, compressed natural gas. And then, of course, the solid material that comes out of that with compost, and then there's also some areas of fertilizer. And as Rose and I were talking about this and what she had envisioned, it's things that you as a city council, that the city of Rawlins has dealt with issues with landfill fees, you know, the DEQ. This helps minimize those costs of putting all those materials at the landfill. And again, you're gonna hear me say this a lot, reusing a lot of that energy that we can put back into the community. For example, with the solid material, the compost, the city of Rawlins could actually turn that back and utilize that in all the green spots, the green areas, the green belts, parks, using that compost. Instead of having to go out and purchase that material, you'd already have it available to you at the facility so that you could utilize that. And everything that, as this processes, oddly enough, it actually becomes more enriched because part of that process is mixing that organic waste with manure. So we're kind of killing several birds with one stone here. Terry, you live on the south side, you live near the Glen Addition. We could actually take that material and take it out to this facility, mixing it with the organic waste that's picked up by not only Dirty Boys, but Wyoming Waste, and then taking that, running it through that process, coming out with the compost, creating the natural gas that we could recapture. You know, and it's one of the things that I think is so vitally important, not only here in Rawlins, but in the state of Wyoming. This has been ongoing in California, Oregon, and Washington, referred to as the green state. But, you know, if you look at Wyoming, even though we're very low population of 500,000, we're starting to see some of these issues that are coming up even in our state. I know we have that issue here at our landfill because we have to transport that in Casper. I'm sure there are other landfills, not only in Carbon County, but also in the state, that are probably feeling that same crunch, if you will, that they don't have the facilities to continue to keep that solid waste, and they gotta figure out ways to move it out of there and transport it somewhere else. And I believe Casper is taking a great deal of the municipal solid waste from several different entities already. So the idea behind this, again, is to help become more energy efficient, reuse what we already have, and also to save money. And I think that's one thing that the city would really benefit from this, is looking at how it can reduce landfill costs, reduce the amount of municipal waste, particularly organic waste that goes through there. And the tonnage is immense, as you all are aware, and what you pay, or what the haulers have to pay you for the tonnage that comes through that facility. So we think that this would definitely help in several different areas, particularly cost savings, and then again, taking that material and turning it into reusable energy. And I think that's something that overall, nationwide, we have to start looking at, because more and more, not only in the United States, but worldwide, countries are trying to find ways to capture renewable energy, to minimize solid waste, minimize the organic waste. And I think, you know, it would be not only a worthwhile endeavor, but it would be something that would that's one of the big things that, this is an opportunity that gives you as a city council, to kind of get one up on everybody else in this state. And I think it's one of those things that Rollins would really benefit from it, because you would be an industry leader rather than an industry follower. And I think that's something that, I think things that we've heard from this council, and you're looking at ways to help, increase, efficiency, certainly decrease costs, and help our community. And I think this would be a golden opportunity to be engaged in this, to be a partner, with this group, to help develop and build this plant here. And it would certainly help our community. It would help the surrounding communities, because they could also bring their waste material to our, not only to our landfill, but run it through that process. And I think there are ample enough opportunities to use what's being saved and created to put back into those communities. You know, and it's certainly always a leap of faith when you have something that you're not too familiar with. But I do think that this technology, which has been around for 25 years, there's a similar facility in Boulder, Colorado. There's a few others I can't remember off the top of my head, because I've been reading through tons of material with regarding to reusable energy, and I think we have seen the benefits of it in all these different locations. Granted, those are highly or densely populated, but even with that, I still think it would be extremely beneficial, not only here in Rollins, but certainly in Carbon County and in the state of Wyoming. And it's an opportunity. The good thing about this too is this technology, given the amount of solid waste that's pushed through the throughput at the landfill, it can be scaled. And as it grows, you can add additional digesters, you can add additional things without breaking the bank in order to do it. So I think this is a project that would really benefit the city of Rollins. I think it would benefit Carbon County, and again, I do think it would benefit the state. I think it's something, when you look at the cost that you're spending on haulers taking the trash to Casper, when you're looking at running that landfill and the amount of solid waste that's going through there, this would be just a huge plus for our community.
Patrick mentioned the, organic digesters and natural gas, but what he didn't talk about is the material recovery part of this plant. It's where all the solid waste goes in, it pulls out as much of recyclables, the plastics, the glass, the cardboard, the paper. 10% of what comes into this plant is pretty much all that will have to go to Casper. So you sell the recyclables, you sell the gas, we don't have to transport, 90% of our garbage to Casper. So we save that way also.
Yeah, 90% is recycled or reused.
Right.
So that, when you given the amount of that's taken, I don't know, truckload wise, what's taken out of here on a regular basis, but if you only had to take 10% of that, send it to Casper, just think how much you would save.
Well, I think the city now spends $700,000 a year to send to Casper. And so you'd be down to $70,000, and the rest of that money could go back into our community.
So, I've read through all of this, and I got more information maybe, and you guys can sure have it if you wanna read through it. Theory-wise, it sounds good, and these are, am I correct in saying that you're like ordering a machine that will do certain things, and you can have options that can do more or less, more mechanical, less hands-on, create more jobs, whatever, whichever direction you wanna go. Where's the city fit in? That's what I didn't get.
As a partner?
As a partner.
What we would propose is that we would lease land from the city out at your landfill, because you already have the land, we already know DEQ's approved it for this kind of thing. The city would just save money.
So basically,
We
if
would like
this
to
project
partner.
goes forward, city would be to lease you land to do this.
Right.
And allow you to run our garbage plant, or whatever.
And that part is so up to discussion as to who gets what, how much money's made, how you split it. We are open to everything. We want this for our community. We're not out to make $1 million, because this is not gonna happen. This is a $15 million project, and we're hoping that, we can get a lot of grants. We don't have a huge debt on it. We have Ayers, I don't know if you're familiar with them. They're working with us on getting grants. I lost my train of thought, but.
And they're working with, Carver County Economic
Yeah.
Development Corp., you know, to help push that through,
Yeah, because we're trying to get the trash from Saratoga brought here, because right now they're taking it to, Laramie at a cost of $160 a ton. We know their costs are $200 a ton to wherever they're taking it. We're hoping that we can bring smaller communities, bring their trash to Rollins, and we're hoping this plant puts Rollins on the map as being a leader, and, you know, we care. We want our state to stay beautiful. We don't want it filled up with
trash,
land,
and with
yeah.
trash and those materials, and, I'm not sure if you're real familiar with, solid waste, but the organics, that's what creates the tonnage.
the wet.
The wet stuff, the heavy stuff, and when you're paying $130, $200, $170 a ton, and you alleviate that out of the equation, you're saving communities a lot of money, you're saving yourself a lot of money. This whole project, if you think about it, is not a money maker, but a money saver, and creating opportunity to resell the gas, to resell the mulch and the compost and the recyclables. So you're helping the environment, but you're also becoming more energy efficient as a community. And that is, you know, when you look at from a global perspective, that's what every country is attempting to do, is become more independent and efficient, and minimizing the solid waste that's being generated by communities and states and countries. Everybody sees this as a huge issue and a huge concern, and if you can minimize that, you have to step back and say, this benefits all of us, this benefits everybody on the planet. And I think that's one of the things that, when we talk about stewardship and we talk about civic responsibility, isn't our responsibility to try to make our communities better for the next generation and coming generations after that? And I think this is one of those things that not only does that, but it sets a precedent in saying, this is what our community is doing to help minimize solid waste, minimize organic waste, and reuse that and put it back into our communities for beautification. You know, and those are the things that, those are hard to argue with when you see the result of that. Again, this is not a money-making endeavor. This is a cost-savings efficiency endeavor. And I think that's something that, we as citizens and as a collective body, as a, city council, I think this would be something that you could be proud of, to say, this is something that we've done to help our community, to help our surrounding communities, and to help our state. You know, that's one of the things we boast about, is that's why people come here. I've heard it in numerous city council discussions, whether it's a negative impact on trailers and boats and campers, that people move here because of the beauty of our state. How nice that would be to continue to make it beautiful by minimizing the solid waste that's put out. Because you gotta admit, we as a country, we like to generate waste, and we do it in alarming numbers on an annual basis. That this would help minimize that and turn that waste into renewable energy and resources that would be profitable for everybody.
Councilman Smith had something.
Yes, please bear with me. I appreciate innovative projects, and I appreciate those people who step up to the plate and propose innovative, projects and resources. But I think the elephant in the room for me is logistics. I need to be satisfied that in the end, I mean, how are you, you're leasing land from the city, we have a landfill. Does the city maintain the control of the landfill and we work with you on MOUs, or what are you proposing, how we fit into all those kinds of things?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, of course, that would be the biggest thing. And we're not they're not looking at come in and manage the landfill, and the landfill will still serve its own purpose. The plant will do something completely different. So you still have solid waste that comes into the facility, and then it goes to the sorters and the bulk handling, and it separates the organic from, like Rose said, the plastics, the bottles, the cans. That stuff still has to be put into, like you currently did, I know that the city used to have balers.
Mm-hmm.
The balers would take that refuse, put it in recyclable, put it in the big bales, and then you haul it out of it. You still would do that. The only difference is this plant separating that portion of it, but taking the organic material and then turning it into reusable energy.
You would build a facility on leased land?
Yes.
Yeah, and then we, like, I've talked with, Amy and a couple other attorneys about this. This is all negotiable. We wanna work with you. We're hoping you wanna work with us. We are open to any suggestions at this point. We
Yeah,
want it to go.
okay, and I was just hoping that I could get some idea of how you want to work with us, so that if it fits with us, then maybe it'd be
Yeah.
something that's going to be really a very win-win situation for both of us. And what I'm hearing you say to me, it's a biogenic facility, and the end goal is to make gas and fuel out of the products that we have, which is, I'm gonna call it squishy stuff, for a better word, so that becomes methane. And then what products you would have left, would be what we would haul off to Casper ourselves, so we would be.
After we take out the recycling, then what's left goes to Casper.
Yes, and you would recycle like, rubber and wood and plastics and all of those things. So we'd end up with what you couldn't recycle.
Exactly.
So that would be reducing what we would have to pay per ton to Casper. It would not affect our relationship with, and have to terminate any agreements with Casper or that situation at this time. Okay, the other question is kind of off the wall, but bear with me a minute. But you hear a lot about water carrying, people flushing their drugs down the commode and things like that, and that's contaminating the water system around here and there. And I know I have the question, does the recycling part of that, when you do the mulch and the last remaining product that you have that we would be putting on gardens and things like that, is the contaminant removed from that, or, you know?
I'm gonna have to say, we don't have an exact answer for that, but the products they put on this organic waste that helps eat it up and chew it up and turn it into, the biogas, I believe will take care of most of those issues.
And one last question from me,
And maybe the heat of 150 might do some,
yeah, that was
Yeah.
what.
You know, and that's, you bring up a good question, Linda, and if you think about it now, every landfill in this state is already producing methane gas, but that methane gas is being emitted into the atmosphere. This plant takes that methane gas, instead of releasing it into the air, it's storing it. You have containers and one that it gets put into, or you can actually, if you wanted to work out an agreement with, Power, but, Black Hills Energy, to basically try to, get that gas that's created and put it through their system, so then it gets reused back out by the public.
or the city charge some of their vehicles
Yeah.
into
Natural gas.
gas.
And then you can utilize that to operate and save yourself hundreds of thousands of dollars annually on diesel fuel or even regular fuel. I mean, there's many opportunities that you can look at that to say, you benefit from the creation of that, so you're not spending exorbitant amounts of money. And you know as well as I do that, our economy is in a state of flux, and, the tax revenue is not what it was 15, 20 years ago. And I don't think it's ever going to recover, at least not to the levels that we once thought it would be. You see that with energy, fossil fuels, they're always going to be there, but they're not going to be in the abundance that they were, or at least not in the use that they were. So they have to find creative ways to take what we already have, turn it into renewables so that we can utilize it to our benefit. And I think these are some of the things that would happen. But to go back to your original question, yeah, that part of it would certainly would come after the agreement with them to move forward with this project, and then working an agreement contractually that would benefit the city and certainly benefit this organization. And I agree with you, Linda, it would be a win-win. It's just not about necessarily profit, it's about helping our community and keeping our community clean, taking the resources that are there and turning them into renewable energy and reusable energy. So, that's how they're looking at this project, and that's why they want the city to be involved, to be a partner, rather than, oh, we're gonna take over this, or vice versa. It's just it's an opportunity, I think, that, the city can, work hand in hand with a private company to help benefit our community overall, so.
Jackie, can I have one last question if I could, and then I will be quiet?
And then Cory's next.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you for letting me have the floor,
Yeah.
gentlemen. I have one last question. I noticed in your material, a lot of the, places or facilities that are on the west coast are in, large community
Right.
centers, but they are counties in California and maybe one or two in Oregon. Do you know, and have you been, did you go see any of these?
No, we have
And do you
not.
know how they interface
We have
legally
not.
with, between the city and the county, or between the
Yeah, we
project
have-
and the county?
We have not seen these. I know that was one of the things that we wanted to take a trip out there to see how this all works.
And hopefully take
A couple of you with us, yeah, and I will tell you this, you actually bring up a good point. But the nice thing is, this particular, organization that designs and develops these plants, they do it scalable to meet the size and the need of the community and the landfill. There's one in there, I think it was in Monterey, when they first started it. It started out with 5,000 tons of throughput annually. Now I think it's up to like 90 tons. But it's scalable, so you could, and that's the smallest they start out, is at 5,000 tons. And that's the beauty of this, is if it does what we anticipate it will do, and creates that opportunity for other communities, you can scale that up so that it meets the demand, to dispose of and, recycle that, the organic material. So, but again, we don't have that answer for you as far as the interface is concerned, but I know they design and develop these specifically for the size and the location of the landfill that's currently in use. And they can be scaled up or scaled down depending on the situation.
Thank you.
Councilman Martinez?
The only question I had is in regard to, the location, the land. I think your project, I like what you're saying. If it all worked that way, then it'd probably be a good thing. What I'm getting at is have you looked into the land around there close to where the landfill is now?
No, I haven't, when
So that we could-
Danielle,
So that we could work with you,
no, we
but you
haven't
would
looked
have
at it.
a piece of property that we as a city could maybe help you obtain, so that you could do this project, but be close enough to the landfill, but not tied to the landfill?
Before Danielle Gross left, her and I had been talking about this, and she had gone out and done a little research, and she found land out there in the landfill space that it would work. It really does need to be there on with your DEQ permit if we're gonna be a partnership. 'Cause I'm not sure, I think BLM owns most of that land, or Anadarko owns most of the land around you.
I don't know.
Yeah, and so I don't think there's gonna be anything available to purchase.
What I thought about was if we could find some property, close, adjacent to the landfill, where we could still work with you, but at the same time, it would be a separate thing. That's where I'm at, and I don't know if that's the right way to go about it or not, I'm just throwing it out there, I don't know.
Yeah, having it in close proximity to the landfill helps alleviate the, transportation costs. Moving that waste a couple of times, this way you basically only move it
I'm
once.
not saying
Yeah.
a long distance, I'm
No,
saying.
yeah, within the proximity of the.
Right in that
landfill.
area,
Yeah.
that we, as a city, might be able to obtain, or we might even have part of it, I don't know, but where we would be able to separate your little plant from what the city does. That's where I'm coming from, that's the only thing, I need to read more about it and ask more questions, but, that's what I was looking at. I'd like to be able to work with you folks, because I think it's important that, when people step up to the plate and bring ideas to us, that we're able to talk and visit and try to iron out some of these
Well,
things.
can I ask you a question? Why are you opposed to the city partnering up with the business?
I look at it from a long distance, I'll probably be gone by then, at my age, I will be gone. I think that if anything happened and life is funny, that the city would not be legally bound to work with you, or you to work with us, or
Well,
whatever.
that's why you have contracts, and we're not the only city that's asking, there's cities all over that have public and, government contracts, and they work together
I'm
doing
sure.
the very thing.
I'm sure there is.
And those contracts are very lengthy, and I'm sure, Linda, if you looked up on the internet, you could find one, you'd probably understand it way better than I do. Because they are about 40 and 50 pages long, and the city and the communities are very well protected.
Okay, and I'm not bringing this up for any kind of a debate, I'm just saying, I was just asking if that would work, if something like that would work.
Well, I think,
That's what I'm asking, I'm
Can
not
I,
opposed to it.
can I just ask, this would help me also, what size footprint? I mean, how many square feet, how many, whatever.
75,000 square feet for the building,
How much?
75,000 square feet for the building.
how many acres would you need?
Just enough for that plant, just for that building.
A couple acres, because it's 44,000 square feet per acre, so a couple acres.
3 would probably be.
You'd need some for truck parking, and
Right.
the transportation part of it's gonna take up a lot of room. When you start getting separating the metal from the aluminum, from the paper, from the,
No, that's all inside the building.
yeah, but I mean, once you start transporting it,
Oh, it's okay, so that brings up another good point. Since if we do it out there, and we no longer use your transfer station, because you won't be hauling that trash, you'll have that building to house those kind of things.
it's not much of a building.
Oh,
No, but
If you look at it, I trade my old trash out today, you
But
ain't getting much.
if you had that building and, you could store, a lot of the materials that would be hauled to Casper, even if you had another baler, that's where you could store all your baled materials in that facility, you wouldn't have to build a new one, and I know that's one of the items on your agenda tonight, is another facility for recycling.
I personally believe that landfills are not a sustainable activity. I mean, ever since I've been a kid, and that's been a while, it's been a problem. And then they went to the regional thing, which they have now, which is, in my opinion, a total disaster. The prices, They told us it was gonna be so much cheaper because we're all gonna pay for the liner together and on and on and on. None of that's come true. It's higher than it's ever been. And if we can take, 70 to 90% of the product that we're paying dearly to get rid of and get, break even on or get a penny, that's a lot of money. And so there's a million other questions that need to be asked and answered, but theory-wise, I like the idea. The theory's right. Now, how do we move forward? That's another box to match, but Councilman Smith.
Yeah, my worry too is that we have a permit, a DEQ permit, it's government permit out there, and our landfill only has so many years of life left to it, and if we're not able to expand that, and you have an ongoing business that's worth $15 million, and we can no longer, at some point, we're phased out of that and have to go somewhere else, what happens to you folks?
Now, when you say landfill, are you talking about, because
I'm-
a landfill means garbage under the dirt.
What I'm saying too is, I'm referring to the landfill as the operations as we now have it, not what we call it. To me, it's a landfill
Right.
right now.
And I already talked to the DEQ about this project, and, they said we can put our plant under your permit. But I don't understand what you're talking about as far as running out of room. Are you talking about your CD getting too big and you have to move and take over?
Well, when I was sitting upstairs 30 years ago, and
Right.
that dates me, of course, but we knew we were gonna run out of space in the landfill.
Right.
And I won't say that, that's not politically correct, but that they came to a point where they were going to have to get people in to save the landfill, okay?
Right.
And because we stepped up to the plate as much as we could, got some financing and stuff and worked with DEQ, we were able to enlarge or keep what we had and be able to use it for a few years more. And so, I don't know what that period of time is, Rose, maybe 20 years, but if that runs out in 20 years, what happens?
They do have construction, the construction part, they make plants to do construction material too. So, if you're talking about your construction part of your landfill, running out of room for that, you have to have more room, bring in another plant, and then you'll never have to
No, I'm
bury it.
talking about you folks, I'm not worried, if we run out of time, it's 20 years and we can't do anything more out there as a city, and have to move it to a new site.
Technically,
I
that,
know we'll save a lot of materials going in there, but, I just wanna know that's something are you doing a feasibility study here, is that what you're?
Eric is gonna help.
yeah, they're gonna be doing that.
Okay. That would be one of the questions.
I would like to point out one thing though, and see if this is true or not, but my perception is, like, when you say we have 20 years worth of life left in the landfill, that's at some
The
projected,
current.
that's at some projected rate of intake.
Yeah.
Or is it a deadline 20 years period, whether it's full or not, it's done?
I don't know.
See, because if it's a 20-year
I think
projected
it's 20
life,
years.
then if we're reducing that by 90%, that's 200 years or whatever.
Could be a DEQ question, I think.
And one more thing, this plant, when I talked to these people, and I talked to them in 2009 for the first time,
Okay.
they were digging up old landfills and processing that waste through these plants also, which is cleaning up old landfills. Now, I'm not sure that they're pushing that, but we will ask them if that's still something that's viable, and if we run out of room, we dig it up, we run it through the plant, and you got clean water again, because you don't have all that trash buried.
So I do think that's one of the things that you do have to look at, is that this plant minimizes the need to actually bury anything, heavier material. I don't know what you currently do with tires and the older plants, you don't bury that, do you? Do you haul that away?
What do we do with our tires?
Tires we recycle to, what do they call it, they're in Salt Lake.
And the metal is sold by the other guy, right?
But correct me if I'm wrong here too, is to help me understand, I'm assuming a lot, but the only thing that's buried right now at the landfill is essentially your municipal solid waste, which includes organics, correct?
No, and
You're not burying
the
anything.
Okay, construction material.
Only C and D, isn't it? Because the municipal solid waste all gets hauled.
Yeah.
The Casper, yeah.
Okay. But if you minimize that by 90%,
A lot of money.
it's gonna save you a lot of money and space. And you should have room for your C and D.
Well, these are all questions that we
Right.
need to get answered. Is
Yeah.
that 20-year, you know, is it a 20-year projected, meaning it's really, if you reduce it by half, is it 40 years and that sort of thing? Or is it 20 years period? I'd like to know that. I'd like to also see where you think it should go, maybe an aerial map of it,
Sure.
and so, you know, we can decide, does it fit with what's going on there now? And I'm sure there'd be some sort of a long-term lease, something that would outlive you and me, Barry.
And that's, you know, that was one of the, really
World War One.
the
World War One.
objective behind all this is that this plant was basically, their team, and the city would be co-partners in this. And that you'd have a working agreement, that benefited both of you. So it would be in your best interest and in their best interest to work collaboratively. So,
It's best interest of our community,
Yeah.
that's what it boils down to.
exactly.
Yeah, I like the idea, I just, you know, but,
Oh, yeah,
you
whatever.
know, there's this 4 foot by 8 foot sheet of blank paper, and there's a couple of square inches that are filled in, and as the others get filled in, then the comfort zone will come.
Right.
Yeah, but we appreciate you, giving us the time to come and at least present this idea to you. And again, I think if you, as you look into this and do a little research on your own, you'll see that it really is beneficial, to our communities. And just because we live in Rawlins, America, 7,000, 8,000 people, 9,000 people, I'm sorry, that doesn't mean that we can't be efficient and utilize the resources and the tools and the technology that's out there to make us a clean, efficient community. And I think that's something, why they wanted to bring this to your attention is if it can save the city hundreds of thousands of dollars annually, I think you would look at that and say, hey, that's a pretty good idea for us, as well as minimizing the amount of solid waste that's set out at the landfill or has to be hauled away. You can reuse it, and it benefits, again, the community, it benefits some businesses. So there's plenty of opportunities here, and there's plenty of potential positives out of this whole thing. And that's what we are hoping that you as a city council look at, is how it is a huge positive to the community, certainly to our surrounding communities and our county, and possibly in our state, so.
And we do plan on going and talking to the governor, because Rollins isn't our only target. So if we can't get something accomplished here, we are moving to other cities and taking this plant with us, so. But we want Rollins to be put on the map with this, we want Rollins to be the leader, and.
You know, when I was a county commissioner, I worked my tail off, I tried to get, Mr. Gonzalez from Hannah, and I worked really hard. We tried to get a regional landfill here, because at that time, they were pushing the regional landfills. They were talking about how expensive the liners were, and I'll never forget the meeting. It was at the depot, and, Leonard Gonzalez, that was his name. Him and I had been working on this a little bit, and I approached the city of Rollins, and they didn't want, you know, it was kind of like stay out of our business county, and pretty much everybody said that, and that's the one regret I have, is that I didn't push forward with that. And at that time, I felt really strongly that we were not gonna do the regional here, we're just gonna create a bunch of jobs in Trona County and not create jobs here, and that's exactly what happened. And if we had, and I remember what everybody, well, it's gonna take us 5 years, well, I will remind you, that was 15 years ago, so 5 years ahead of you seems like a long time, 15 years behind you seems like yesterday to me, so, even though this is kind of leaping forward compared to the rest of Wyoming, I mean, why wouldn't we recycle almost everything? I mean, that's the question, I guess. Councilman Smith?
Yes, I wanted to tell you, I support the idea of the project. I definitely support a feasibility study. And one question boils down to a legal question that I probably would ask legal counsel for us at some point to answer, And that is, are we required to let anybody else bid on this kind of thing? Or is this a community development project that we can say, okay, we're gonna support it, the CDBG block grant, and carve out a little piece of land that we turn over to CDBG with remainder to the city if you should move your plant, that kind of thing. And so that's what I'm looking at. I want you to know on the surface of this, I think it's a wonderful idea. It's just how do you interface legally with public and private and not cross that line that is illegal or not correct to do. That's where I'm coming from too, but I think it sounds great.
Any other questions from the council? Well, thank you, guys.
Thank
We appreciate it. Keep bringing us information.
We will.
Please remember,
As we get it, we'll get it to you, and.
we know nothing other than what you tell us.
And we're learning
You're gonna have to
along the way,
educate us
so.
on this, so we're more comfortable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I guess I'll call a recess until we Being 7:30, I'm gonna call this meeting to order. And the first thing on the agenda, would you please, join me with the pledge of allegiance? Where's that? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next thing on our agenda is roll call.
Okay, Mayor Terry Wyckoff,
Here.
Vice Mayor Jacqueline Wells, Member Aaron Durst,
Here.
Councilmember Darrell Gardner,
Here.
Councilmember Devari Martinez,
Here.
Councilmember Linda Smith,
Here.
Councilmember Chris Weisenberg. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The next thing on our agenda is, I'm going to open a public hearing for the second reading, amending the proposed change to Rollins Municipal Code, Section 8.08, refuse, construction, and demolition materials. Is there anybody here that would like to speak? Hearing none, I will close that public hearing, and I will open up another public hearing, which is a resolution authorizing an amendment to FY 21-22 budget for matching funds for 17 CDBG grants. Is there anybody that would like to speak on that? Hearing none, I will close that public hearing. I will open another public hearing, which is a resolution authorizing submission of a WCDA CDBG grant, application number 1 for identifying and repairing leaks in the existing 20-inch main pipeline that supplies raw water from the Sage Creek Basin Springs and Wells to the city of Rollins. Is there anybody that would like to speak on that? Hearing none, I will close that public hearing. I will open another public hearing, which is a resolution authorizing submission of a WCDA CDBG grant, application number 2 for repairing and improving critical roadway in the Sage Creek Basin to ensure access to the city of Rollins Springs and well site. Is there anybody that would like to speak on that? Hearing none, I will close that public hearing. We will open up, these are very unusual amount of public hearings, just so you know. I will open up another public hearing, which is a resolution authorizing submission of a WCDA CDBG grant, application number 3 for replacing the city of Rollins system of 90-plus-year-old wood stave pipelines critical for collecting our spring and well water throughout the Sage Creek Basin. Is there anybody that would like to speak on that here tonight? Seeing none, I will close that public hearing and open up another one, which is a resolution authorizing submission of the WCDA CDBG grant, application number 4 for repairing the cathodic protection system of the city of Rollins 20-inch main raw water line from the Sage Creek Basin. Is there anybody that would like to speak to that? Hearing none, I will close this public hearing. The next thing on the agenda is a public hearing, and it's a resolution authorizing submission of a WCDA CDBG grant, application number 5 for repairing the 2+ miles of sole transmission water line from the water tank farm to the city of Rollins with polyvinyl chloride PVC pipe. Is there anybody here that would like to speak to that? Hearing none, I will close that public hearing. And at this time, I'll open another public hearing, which is a resolution authorizing submission of the WCDA CDBG grant, application number 6, for updating the supervisory control and data acquisition system at the city water treatment plant. Is there anybody that would like to speak on that? Seeing none, I will close that public hearing and open up another public hearing, which is a resolution authorizing submission of a WCDA CDBG grant, application number 7 for building a 3 million gallon filtered water storage tank at the city of Rollins Tank Farm located north of the water treatment plant. Is there anybody that would like to speak on that? Seeing none, I will close that public hearing. I will open up another public hearing, which is a resolution authorizing submission of a WCDA CDBG grant, application number 8 for analyzing and mitigating a proposed special flood hazard area. Is there anybody that would like to speak to that? Seeing none, I will close that public hearing. I will open up another public hearing, a resolution authorizing submission of a WCDA CDBG grant, application number 9 for repairing curb, gutter, sidewalk on the bulb outs on Cedar Street and create additional bulb outs on 4th and 5th Street. Is there anybody here that would like to speak to that? Seeing none, I will close that public hearing. The next public hearing is the resolution, I will open another public hearing, which is a resolution authorizing submission of a WCDA CDBG grant application number 10 for adding additional lighting and replacing non-functional lighting in downtown Rollins. Is there anybody here that would like to speak to that? Seeing none, I will close that public hearing. I will open up another public hearing, which is a resolution authorizing submission of WCDA CDBG grant application number 11 for improving Rob Roy Park to meet the Americans with Disabilities Act guidelines and compliance. Is there anybody here that would like to speak to that? Seeing none, I will close that public hearing. And at this time, open another public hearing, which is a resolution authorizing submission of a WCDA CDBG grant application number 12 for improving Washington Park restroom access to meet Americans with Disabilities Act guidelines and compliance. Is there anybody here that would like to speak to that? Seeing none, I will close that public hearing. And at this time, I will open up a public hearing on a resolution authorizing submission of WCDA CDBG grant application number 13 for improving Bolton Park restroom access to meet Americans with Disabilities Act guidelines and compliance. Is there anybody here that would like to speak to that? Seeing none, I will close that public hearing. At this time, I'll open a public hearing on a resolution authorizing submission of a WCDA CDBG grant application number 14 for improving critical personal protection equipment, for providing critical personal protection equipment and medical equipment for the Rollins Fire Department. Is there anybody here that would like to speak to that? Seeing none, I will close that public hearing. And now I will open a public hearing, which is a resolution authorizing submission of a WCDA CDBG grant application number 15 for adding additional storage for recycling materials near the current recycling center. Is there anybody here that would like to speak to that? Seeing none, I will close that public hearing and open up a public hearing for a resolution authorizing submission of WCDA CDBG grant application number 16 for updating interior and exterior facility lighting to light emitting diode lights and adding motion detector switches. Is there anybody here that would like to speak to that? Seeing none, I will close that public hearing and open up a public hearing, which is a resolution authorizing submission of a WCDA CDBG grant application number 17 for updating the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems at the City of Rollins City Hall and Public Works Community Development Building. Is there anybody that would like to speak to that? Seeing none, we'll close that public hearing. Okay. Next thing on our agenda is citizens' participation. This is a time when we allow citizens to come up and talk to us. There is a limit of 5 minutes, and tonight our schedule is really full, if you can't tell. And so, at this time, is there anybody that would like to address the council on any issue that is not on the agenda? Please come forward. State your name and, all of that, even though we know you.
Right. My name's Damian Setsko. I was one of the guys that helped, line up the Latino Heritage Celebration. I just wanted to get to the council here and give everybody an update on it. I wrote down all the pertinent information, so I didn't have to stand up here and take a bunch of time. So.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. Figured that'd make it a lot simpler. Overall, it was a great event. We had about 500 people in attendance. We had a huge amount of volunteers this year, so it was, a very good event. I apologize, I ended up dropping them in a little bit of water. But, we had some fantastic sponsors. We had some fantastic feedback from the city. We had a lot of attendance. We had a lot of extra activities that hadn't happened in the past. We had an art exhibit from the University of Wyoming. Mr. Mark Papperheim here was with Southern Star. Not only did they donate, but he was in the planning period from the front to the back, and he worked all day. Same with Angie. We had Miss Patty Hayes involved. We had Myra involved. It was, a huge event with a lot of fantastic participation from people in town that may not have participated in something like this before. Had a couple hiccups naturally, but overall, I just wanted to report to the city that we had a great event, and it all went really well, and we're looking forward to doing it again next year, so. Does anybody have any questions?
No, thank you.
Right on.
I heard good stuff and look forward to this turning into a big thing.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Thanks, everybody, appreciate it.
Thank you, appreciate it, everybody.
I don't know if any of these guys have any other things to contribute, but I'll let them have it.
Patty?
How could I not contribute, right? I'm Patty Hayes, I work in the Recreation Department in the Rec Center Division. First of all, I wanna thank you guys a lot for the support that you gave us during the planning period, the 2020 planning period, and the 2021 event. We were able to secure 2 grants. One was the Cultural Arts Grant. They generously gave us $2,000, which was pretty good for the first time event. The second one, we're gonna hit them up for way more. Grants received were the Carbon County Visitors Council grant. We spent $2,000 out of town advertising, and it was way worth our money. We got a lot of visitors. According to the art exhibit, at least 50% of those people were visitors to the community. Now, whether they came here for that event, or they stumbled on that downtown, we don't care. They were here, right? So I want you to know that was the first annual Latino Heritage Celebration. Sinclair Refining Company gave us the banners for downtown. I'm hoping they'll give us just a little bit more, so we can put them in a little bit more places, but they're neutral banners that celebrate that, so we can use them year after year. And like I said, I really appreciate the fact that we have the opportunity to do this with 5 huge community partners. And I want you to know that's the first time that I've ever worked with a group that large, community partner buy-in, and that effective. So we're gonna go get them in 2022.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
For your work.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to come address us about something that is not on the agenda? Going once, twice, all right. Next thing on our agenda is approval of the minutes. I would entertain a motion. Councilman Smith?
I move that we approve the minutes of September 7th, 2021, regular meeting.
Second that.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve the city council regular minute meetings of September 7th, 2021 as presented. Is there any further discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open.
Yes, I'm signing in. I'm catching up, sorry. I don't know why it kicks me off all the time.
Online voting is closed and the motion carries with 5 yeas.
Okay, thank you. Next thing on our agenda is, to approve the agenda. Councilman Martinez?
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion to approve the August 17, 2021 City Council agenda with no corrections or additions.
Yeah, that's not the right, with September 21st. That's what I think.
No, mine says August 17.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
September 21st.
September 21st.
Friendly amendment. All right, who seconds it?
I'll second.
Councilman Booth, okay, thank you. There's been a motion made and seconded to approve the September 21st, 2021 City Council agenda. Any further discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed, the motion passes with 5 yeas.
All right, thank you. The next thing on our agenda is city council reports. So for the Board of Adjustments, Councilman Durst.
We did have a meeting, but there was no quorum, and I apologize, it was rescheduled, and I might look at, Delenn, do you happen to know off the top? I think it's the first week in October, We rescheduled, and I apologize, I don't
October
remember the date.
sixth, I believe,
Sixth,
that's what I thought.
okay, October sixth is the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is, the report from myself for, Carbon County Council of Governments. We did have a meeting, it was up in Elk Mountain. Not a whole lot was discussed, a lot more about the fire district, and really that was, about all of the business, and so that's all I have to report. So the next thing is, a report from Councilman Smith for the DDA Main Street program.
Yes, I'll be brief. The splash pad is completed except for a few punch items. I think it looks wonderful. If you haven't been down there, go down and look, it's great. Before, the Depot Park looks amazing, and it already has had great feedback on the fence layout for the safety and overall look of the park. With regard to the Passion and Pride, 2021 Passion and Pride, changed its platforms. We canceled the in-person event to an online auction, so we could continue to fundraise for our two projects. The auction closes tonight at 10 p.m., so if anybody's interested, they can go to passionandpride.givesmart.com and see if they want to buy some more items or up what we've got. Anyway, fall small business classes have started at the Artec Center. Last week's start was, your own business class presented by the Small Business Development Center, and it went well. October's class will be Marketing 101 and held October 14th. November's class will be about e-commerce, and so a bit business folks, if you are downtown and want some, classes and to help the businesses, call Pam there, and she can do
Never anybody involved.
Okay. Anyway, that, therefore, building your businesses. The dates to remember are Art Beat, downtown Art Beat will be held Friday, October 1st, from 4 to 8 p.m. The trick or treat on downtown streets is scheduled for Friday, October 29th, from 3 to 5. And then Small Business Saturday is I don't know why my tongue isn't working tonight. Anyway, nationwide event, and it is November 27th, and it is in the planning stage. So with that, I would like to say that as my report.
Okay, thank you very much. Next thing on the agenda is Rawlins Planning Commission, which is, Councilman Weisenberg, who is, not here tonight. So we will move on to the Urban Systems Committee, Councilman Garner.
Okay, we discussed quite a few things, in our last meeting. Discussed the yield sign under the underpass, being brought into compliance and removed. We are gonna postpone this and allow Chief Ward to investigate, some laws and more options on that, on what to do with that. So, at this time, we're gonna postpone it. And then, we are looking at, we approved the stop signs at East State and Higley, to go into yield signs. We talked about, speed limit signs with built-in radars that have the flashing lights on them for our entrances of our town. I brought this one up. You see a lot of vehicles coming in town, they come right off the interstate, the highway, and they're coming in pretty quick. And we have major intersections in all these, and, I thought it would be kind of a cool idea to, just to get their attention a little bit better, is, something like this. So, we made a motion to just investigate, or whether or not we should proceed with YDOT, because all those are, I think, YDOT, controlled, so we have to they're gonna bring back some information for us and let us know what costs will be, if it, the results on it and how well it works. So, John discussed last meeting the, let me find it real quick, sorry. The underpass, we had approved that, and he discussed and explained all that, so I wasn't gonna touch on that one too much. We talked about downtown parking concerns, with time limits, parking meters. It was brought up, the majority didn't think it was a good idea. Chief Ward didn't think it was a good idea to put those downtown, and I agree. I think it's, there's other avenues we can take for now and see if we can come up with something. One of the recommendations was, or ideas was to, find an area for a parking garage, if we could do something like that. So, and then, Pamela's gonna work with the businesses and see if we could just bring up awareness for employees for the businesses that are down there to maybe park further away from downtown and just walk a little bit further to open up that downtown area, for people coming through. And then, and last week we discussed the one-way streets in the Mountain View area, so, that was all.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Garner?
Yeah.
What'd they say about the yield sign?
Oh.
They're gonna remove it?
No, we chose to postpone, and Chief Ward is going to look into other options, he's gonna look at the law, and then, other options for signs that we could put in that spot if we do remove
And I
it.
just wanna give you my take. I believe that sign is working. I realize it isn't the original, sign that you're supposed to put up that says to give somebody a break, but I'm telling you, that works. I think, it just really gives me a good feeling when I do it, because when I give somebody a break to go one way, I notice sometimes the north side gives the people from the south side to come in and break, and they kind of wave at each other and thank each other, and I just think the sign is working.
Right.
And I hate changing something that's working.
Chief Ward brought up, they have signs where he's from that say, I think it was, is it yield and then alternate traffic? Is that how that works?
Alternate would be one way. The concern then would be that the traffic coming south from Cedar would back up because there's less room there.
Mhm.
Another option would be to add a sign on the south side going north saying oncoming traffic has the right of way. We're not really looking to drastically change it, and I agree that it is nice when people give each other their turn to go.
I'm very surprised that they do that. It just seems that when you go through there, if you
Yeah.
let somebody by, they wave and thank you, and I
It
just
seems to
think
be
it's
working.
something that's working.
One of the concerns is that the sign, if it's not a approved sign, if there happens to be an accident, it would be hard to assign liability to any particular driver.
Has there been any thought of, putting a stripe down the center of that underpass so people know where the center is? Because I think it might help them stay on their own side if, in fact, there was a stripe down the center. Anyway, food for thought. You might bring that up. Okay, all right. Next thing on our, are you through? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Are you, okay, I didn't want to cut you off. All right, the next thing on our agenda is, department reports. First come, first served. Don't be bashful.
I would like to let everyone know that on the auditor search, the RFP went out, we received 3 bids, and, we've reviewed them, and we'll be ready to discuss those next week at the special meeting. So, that's a lot to look forward to. And then regarding the financials, I know that you have not received them for the last couple of months. I just want to let you know that you have my apologies for that, and that the lateness of getting these to you, as a way of explaining is, mid-July, came down with COVID, and for the next 2.5 weeks, I was out on that. And then we got all of the grants to work on, and so I'm getting to where I can have some time to upload the budget, which is no small task, and so that will be coming to you very shortly. And then I wanted to let people know, if they don't already know, about the closure of Bank of the West, and that's happening in somewhere around mid-December. And I'm reviewing our banking needs, and I'll be working with, Sean, city manager, about how to redistribute. We're gonna be taking that into consideration, what Bank of the West had and where it would be best to redistribute that. And so, I'll be working on that as well in the coming weeks. So probably, my goal is within 3 to 4 weeks to have that finalized, go through that, and so we can order new checks and stuff. Any questions?
You're a busy girl.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can we talk about the item I brought up with the general fund loan?
Yes. I need to come up with a way to write a loan payable from the enterprise fund back to the general fund. This is unique, I've never had to do this before, so I have to figure out the wording of that. However, my goal is to give the enterprise fund time to come up to speed, rebuild, and develop a healthy infrastructure, especially with their cash and considering all the water issues that we're having. So I'm thinking I'll come up with one, but giving them a grace period at 0 interest, future note payable, which I've seen in other loans, is 10 years of just, let's get them healthy. And then at that point, we can reassess, we can figure out how much to have reimbursed. Or I also want to look into if we do a loan forgiveness. I need to see about the viability of that, if that's what the council should so choose. So those are some of the things that I'm looking into as I figure out how to write that up. Does that make sense? Any questions?
Councilman Smith.
We'll have to do that after we get the formal audit, so we know how much we're out on the limb. Or if we have any issues in some of them.
You've actually made a loan to those enterprise accounts with your fiscal year 21-22.
Okay,
Yeah.
but we don't have an audit, is my point, so I don't think we know how much we're got sitting there yet, or the actual figures, so that's my point.
Correct. That would be one consideration. But I'm operating on the assumption that what we have is accurate, it's the most conservative way to view it. And so having that to come up with something in the meantime, those are the parameters that I was thinking of employing, as part of that loan. Is I don't want to put any more burden on them, that's just gonna make matters worse.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Next.
Mr. Mayor, council members, good evening, Mike Ward for the, police department. I'm going to, start off by giving you some statistics on the, calls for service we've been running. I'm going to talk briefly about, current staffing, some of the things we've been involved with in this month, and then at the end I'm going to talk about, code enforcement, just a little bit. So, the numbers of calls that we received in dispatch this month has, remained pretty stable. Speaking with the civilian, supervisor of our dispatchers, the numbers are about the same as they normally are. Slightly down, 911 calls received for August was 553, down slightly from 585 in July. Telephone calls received at dispatch that were non-911, 1344, up from 1276 in July. Dispatch calls for service, 743, down from 810 in July. Officers conducted 45 case follow-ups, 403 miscellaneous calls where they were doing things like bar checks and business checks and conducting traffic enforcement. We dispatched 34 fire-related calls in August and 59 ambulance calls in August. The numbers for there in July were 31 for fire and 50 for ambulance. Our staffing. The Rollins Police Department is authorized full complement of 19 sworn officers. That includes a chief position, 3 lieutenants, 4 sergeants, 10 patrol officers, and 1 school resource officer. Currently, the chief, lieutenant, and sergeant positions are full. Of the 10 patrol officers, we currently only have 4 that are fully active. We have another 3 that are in field training, and then we currently have a sergeant who's filling the SRO position, so technically that would be an open officer position. Not counting, the 3 officers that are in field training, because they're not cut loose to operate on their own right now, that puts us at 63% staffing, which is pretty critical. If you count those 3 officers, then we'd still only be at 78% staffing. So the 3 officers that are in training, one of them is scheduled to complete field training in October, the other 2 are scheduled to complete field training later, in December. The officer that's supposed to complete field training in October then has to go to the academy in January. The other 2 officers are laterals, and they won't have to go to the academy. We currently have 10 applicants in our hiring system. We have testing dates set up for September 30th and October 1st. 5 of those candidates have confirmed for those dates. We're working with the remaining 5 candidates. Some of them, for different reasons, can't make those dates, and we'll set up alternate dates for them to come and test. Also, what we're doing is rewriting the advertisement for police officer that goes out nationwide on different venues. The lieutenants and I are just completing that process right now. We're focusing heavily on the benefits of living in Rollins, all the things that we're familiar with. Family-friendly, great schools, good restaurants, all of that type of thing. We're also going to be focusing on possibly attracting current officers from other states. One of the things that we added to the current job application are some of the additional benefits that the council has offered to the police department in this current budget. So we wanted to update the benefits to the officers that we're looking to attract. Once that's done, it's going to be pushed out through Human Resources. We use a system that pushes the advertisement out on a number of different venues that reaches nationwide. And we're hoping to increase the number of applicants that we have. So it's been a busy week for the police, a busy month for the police department. One of the things I wanted to highlight is that we've received a number of compliments on the service that the officers have provided. Those have come from within the city itself, from other departments, and from external, from citizens passing through and from residents in Rollins. We've received a number of letters thanking officers for things that they have done. So we keep those. The officers are notified, and we also thank them for their work. And then those letters go in their files. We've attended a number of meetings this month. There was a countywide law enforcement meeting at the Sheriff's Department. I think I've been to 3 Urban Deer meetings now. We met with the Police Commission at the end of August. We're in the process of rewriting the civil service rules for the Police Commission. Countywide Victim Advocate meeting in the Sheriff's Department. Many of us took the tour of the water treatment plant and water sources. We've met with the Carbon County Coordination Center, also known as C4. I've met with them twice now, and we're meeting with them again tomorrow morning. September 10th, we had a quarterly staff meeting where we discussed a number of issues internally within the police department. Afterwards, we had a family barbecue at the police department. 9/11, there were 2 events that the police department were represented at. Many of you were out there on the 13th when the U.S. Air Force conducted a training exercise north of town. We were there for that. At the quarterly meeting, we normally take nominations for Officer of the Quarter. This time there were 2 nominations for 3 officers. Sergeant David Greninger and Officer Thomas Gamblin were nominated for an event where they were dispatched to meet with a suicidal subject who was threatening to jump off a bridge. They were successful in talking that subject off the bridge and then provided him with treatment and follow-up. Lieutenant Daria Hooper was also nominated. Lieutenant Hooper is currently our only investigator. And as such, she's on call 24/7 every day, which is pretty heavy responsibility. In addition to that, she's taken on a number of other responsibilities. For example, animal control falls under her, and she's usually there before her shift starts and cleaning the facility and so forth. So we took a vote and decided that all 3 officers were going to become the officers of the quarter, and they were recognized.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we appreciated all their efforts. Okay, code enforcement. As you're aware, about a year ago, a little less, code enforcement position for the city of Rollins was transferred from the fire department to the police department. In November of last year, we hired a new code enforcement officer, Brian Marcotte, who's been doing an excellent job. So he focuses on, enforcing city ordinances that are mostly under Titles 5, 8, and 12. Title 5 has to do with, alcohol license checks for establishments that serve alcohol. 8 has to do with, public nuisance. 12 has to do with, mostly sidewalks and things like that. So far to date, he has handled 170 incidents since last November. He's averaging in the low 20s a month. There's 3 ways that he receives complaints reference code enforcement. One way is that people call our dispatch, and then they notify Brian. Another way is the county website. So as you're aware, on the City of Rollins' website, there is a report a concern option. And this is something that anybody in the public can click on. It brings them to a form to fill out. It gives them a number of options on how to make a complaint or report a concern to the City of Rollins, pretty much across the board. One of the options is code enforcement, and then what happens is it gets routed to Brian via an email, and then he will contact the complainant if they wish to be contacted, and he'll open the investigation. The third way that he receives complaints is direct email, where people reach out directly to him. I wanted to stress the second option, where citizens have the ability to just go on our city website and file a complaint right there. He's very good at getting back in touch with complainants. I know there are occasions where constituents will reach out to members of the council. I wanted to let you know that if you want to refer them there, that's totally appropriate. If you'd like to enter the information in that system for them, that's appropriate. And there's been times where you've reached out to us, which will always be there. So, in talking with Brian and 2 of the lieutenants earlier today, about the number of calls that he receives and how he deals with them, I was already aware that Brian, for code enforcement, takes an approach of educating and then warning, and then the third option is enforcement. It turns out that he's had a very successful return on the education and warning options. Currently, he doesn't have any cases that are still open that he would need to cite anybody for. So that's good news. The community has been responsive. And he does this in a number of different ways. Either he can talk directly with somebody that might be in violation of one of the city ordinances. Sometimes if nobody's home, he'll hang a flyer on their door notifying them and then follow up later. And sometimes he'll mail letters, including warning letters. And, the response that he's received has been, so far, almost entirely successful. That does not mean that we would hesitate to issue a citation when needed. But so far, it hasn't been needed. And that's how we've been operating with code enforcement so far. The volume that he's been receiving is pretty high. We'd love to get a second code enforcement officer in there to help him. As the only point for enforcement of code within the city, he's overwhelmed quickly, and it's easy to look at him as a solution for other things that come up. And we want to be available for that, but we're hoping in the future that the second position will get filled. That's about all I have. Are there any questions?
That second position, are you waiting for us to okay that position, or are you trying to hire somebody?
It was approved in the budget, but we're waiting for the audit.
Okay,
Yeah, I think,
that's what I thought. I just wanted to be clear about that.
Right.
Councilman Martinez?
My question is, after you place a warning on a person's property for a Title 19 problem or a Title 8 nuisance problem, how long after you place the warning do you give these people?
I think it would depend. You know, discretion is a huge part of law enforcement. Whether that's a police officer or a code enforcement officer, every situation is different, and they have to apply common sense and reasonableness and fairness to the situation. So he has a system set up where he will track what he's done. He tells me frequently when he gets a complaint, he'll go out and the complaint is actually unfounded. He won't find a violation, in which case he moves on. In the cases where he's educating people, he tells me sometimes immediately they will go and take care of the problem. Sometimes he needs to go back and then after educating them, issue them a warning. So far, he has told me that the compliance rate has been almost 100%. Not 100% is made up of some properties that he received complaints on. The owners don't live in Rollins, and it's not quite clear who the owner is. He uses the Carbon County Assessor's website, and then we'll mail letters there, but sometimes they get returned in the mail. So occasionally, he has problems identifying who the owner is. To be specific about your question, a reasonable amount of time, depending on the situation. He told me that some of the citizens he deals with work midnight shifts or work long hours, so whatever is reasonable is what he applies to them. Certainly, he doesn't allow it to drag on. If he issues a warning, he does not expect to return the next day and find the problem fixed. But
I think there's something not right there.
go ahead.
I'll give you an example.
Sure.
I got a piece of property where, 5 demolition derby vehicles were dumped in the backyard.
Right. And you brought that to our,
You give them a warning, that's fine. I don't know if you did or not.
well, we just got that,
I'm just telling you what the residents are saying.
sure.
You give them a warning, how long is it gonna take before they get rid of those demolition derbies that are piled up in their backyard? If you took those demolition derby cars and dumped them anywhere in town, how long would it take?
So what,
It seems that in my ward, it seems it takes a long time. Example, I have another piece of property that's used as a salvage yard in a residential area. I call it Title 19, I was told, no, it's a Title 8, it's a nuisance, whatever it is, whatever you wanna call it. Why does it take 2 years to get that taken care of? Those are the things that bother me.
and we're sensitive to that. I think both of the examples you just gave, you brought to our attention last week. So those are things that he is working on. How long it takes is gonna be a reasonable amount of time.
Well, it only took them 2 days to call them all down there. It shouldn't take 2 days to give them a warning, tell them to take them back out.
So we got the complaint last week,
Yeah,
and I know he's working on it,
okay,
and then we'll keep you updated on the progress that he's achieving.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else?
No? Okay, thank you very much.
Honorable Mayor, Council, Chief Sergeant Cooper here tonight, he's a little under the weather again, so I'm pinch hitting here. Have some information, not near as much as you just got, so. Awesome job, Chief. All right, so just a few numbers to start with. Year to date, through the end of August, the fire department has 1,402 hours of training. That's taking a fairly steep increase, over the last 30 to 40 days as we've changed some of our way we're recording and trying to capture what we're actually doing, those kind of things, so we're seeing better things there. Incidents to date, 669 calls for service. I didn't actually compare that with last year. To my recollection, that is up a little bit. Sure seems like we've been way busier. 206 inspections completed, as of the end of today on that, so. Few of the other things we're gonna have going on, we had some 9/11 activities we participated in too that took place here in town. Had equipment there, those kind of things, also provided, our honor guard to flag ceremonies for both those kind of things. That was kind of neat to be able to be part of those activities that day, and reflect on those things that took place. Other stuff we're doing, hose testing is been in progress, should be completed by tomorrow. That's approximately 9,000 feet of hose. For those of you that don't know what that is, every hose we have has to be pressure tested. We have to take it off, lay it on the ground, full water, pressure it up, drain it out, load it back on the truck, whatever. Very manpower intensive project.
How many hoses are there?
I've about 9,000 feet, I don't know how many individual, that would be, yeah, that.
Two hoses. We start from China.
You know, everything from our, attack line, and 3/4 hand line, 2.5-inch supply, 5-inch supply line, all those kind of things, all of that comes, each truck has a complement of all those sizes on, we have some spare everything we have.
I just noticed a lot of them, I just
A lot of-
curious.
lot of them. Our annual pump testing is also taking place, that's been happening this week, we have one truck left, they should finish that up tomorrow. That's just an annual thing that we get to do. Also, 2 of our 3 new hires, are through the, Department of Transportation CDL testing process, so they're now able to drive those trucks. Still a lot of training to do with them, but now they're certified, and that's another awesome thing we're moving forward with. We had a very successful team attack yesterday. We were called for mutual aid to assist with a house fire in Sinclair. City of Ronald's, Carbon County Fire, Town of Sinclair Fire, and Sinclair Refining Company all had people on scene on this house fire. Very stubborn basement kind of thing, which makes it really difficult to get to, all that fun stuff. We had a very good team effort. Everybody played together, we worked really well together. Intermixed tools and equipment and things just worked. It was very successful and very nice to be able to work together and have like equipment and abilities and those kind of things, so. With that, I'll stand for any questions.
I have none. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Alan. All right. Hey, how are you? I'm good, how are you? Good.
Honorable Mayor and Council, last month we had 26 building permits issued, which don't seem like a lot, but if you're in that office all day long, answering phones and trying to help, people coming in the door, it really adds up. We had a total of 70 inspections. We issued 1 contractor license and did 13 plan reviews. And our office staff has been extremely busy, and like I say, if you could spend a day in our office, just to see how busy that office is with people coming in and out of the building. We also had a convention in Saratoga last month, and I had brought this gentleman's name up, last month for this meeting. They had the option of taking tests down in Saratoga, and Willie Trimble, if he wants to come up, he took his Wyoming Municipal Solid Waste Landfill Operator examination and passed that. Try to get up there. And also, that same day, he took the Wyoming Municipal Solid Waste Landfill Manager's examination and also passed that.
Wow.
I would like to, whenever one of the employees on my side achieves something like this, I would like to bring them up there to congratulate them for what they're doing. I think it's an achievement that's well deserved.
Absolutely.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're not getting away with that, Eddie. You gotta get your photo. Allie offered to take it. No, that has to go for you too. You guys have to post for the photo.
Once you get paper, then you work hard.
Can't make Willie do it alone.
Gotcha.
All right, here's Rin and Barrett. Don't worry, your certificate is right there. Thanks, guys. Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations. Thank you for putting out that extra effort. That's awesome.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. Bear with me, I'm just a little new to everything going on. Hope I can get you guys everything you need tonight.
We're gonna give you that time,
Looking forward to it. For Public Works Division side, as of right now, our utilities and streets divisions are doing amazing in their job. For utilities, they've had a couple water breaks, a fire hydrant replacement, but they've been on top of that and got it fixed very quickly. I was very surprised. Our streets division is just patching up, or finishing up patching all the street patches that they've cut open and plumbing patches and all that stuff. We're getting ready for winter plowing, looking at new plow trucks right now to get in that division. So far that's going really good, very smooth. Our 2020 streets rebuild is complete for the season. We're wrapping that up. The mill and overlay is completed for the season. Those two projects are finished up. Walnut is, as we all know, still in progress. Sewer line is tied into 7th Street at this point, so we're just waiting to do a couple sewer taps from the south side of Walnut, a couple of residences that are there, and that'll be completed. We still have to wait for Black Hills to do the gas line in there, and then we can start road construction on that. So that should be going as fast as I can. I'll get you more information on a timeline on when we're starting any kind of street infrastructure and sidewalks. I'm just waiting for a couple timelines on those two things. Water systems, we've been doing a lot of, looking at, with our city engineers, the cost estimates on some of these fixes, and the main one is the Lone Tree that we all been talking about. We've got some cost estimates and what it's gonna take to do that, as well as the Sage Creek, steel emergency pipeline. You gotta go do a declaration for that, looking at the grants. We've got a lot of the prices pretty close to estimated and figured out. We just need to do a probe dig to figure out what kind of condition the pipe is in. We actually went out today, did a locate on one of the more shallow blow-offs so that we can dig that up and see how badly the pipe is compromised, and see what kind of shape we are in for that section of pipe that's out there. And as you all know, there's a few blow-offs that are leaking pretty good that we'd like to get to. The shallower ones, that city can get to themselves. The deeper ones, we're gonna have to engineer on those. But so far, we've moved pretty far on how it's gonna go about and cost estimates on it. We've got, like we said, we got a couple grants that we're trying to work on right now to help us out with that. I've come across a Bureau of Land Reclamation that called me the other day, said they have another $8 million sitting there for a drought relief package that they're willing to pay 100% on any kind of grant process with that. So that one just came up recently, that might be able to help us out. And right now, that's kind of what I've been taking on. Our tank processes are filling up, reservoirs are looking good. We still need to kind of keep on a water restriction at this point, just because if we have to do any of this work here and something happens with the water line, we need to have a lot of water built up. And at that point, that's kind of what I have for you guys. Any questions?
Million of them, but they'll be answered in time.
I just wanna thank Cody for jumping into the fire.
Here's helping out the city, so I'm doing I'm in it a week now and hoping I'm doing okay for you guys.
He's doing an amazing job. I mean, really has picked up our projects and knows what's going on, and
Yeah.
he's doing awesome. Just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, Mayor? That you have? Anything I might be able to ask?
Nothing serious.
Okay. There's a lot of questions out there, and I got a lot of answers, but as far as dialing everything in.
I can't wait to see when you dig these up, what you see.
I know, I'm very curious.
I'll relax
So
a
we have
little bit maybe.
We have a locate on the one that we looked at today. I think we're gonna get the locate Friday, so we're looking at early next week to dig that up, and we'll have plenty of pictures and a report to give you guys.
That'll be awesome.
We're very curious to see what it's like, but we're also very timid and worried, and just like everybody else, but at the same time, we need to get this going as fast as possible. Yeah.
No, we appreciate that. Councilman Smith?
Yes, I want to tell you, I appreciate your feedback on Walnut Street. I know there's a lot of citizens who have brought that up.
Yeah.
And they wanted to know what happened, and maybe a timeline will help them understand.
Absolutely, that's my next on my mission list. The water right now, trying to get with the engineers and see where we're at as far as cost, design on building, what it's gonna take. To give you guys the most information on that was really on my to-do list, and starting tomorrow, I've got calls in to Black Hills and everybody to start giving me a timeline on what they see in the near future, to where
Awesome.
we know when it's gonna happen, so. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Anybody else? I knew there was one more down there.
So I don't have much, I just wanted to take a minute, just to introduce you. We have had our new, grants writer begin on Monday, and so I just wanted to, I know this is a position that you are very interested as a council, and so I just wanted to introduce her to you. She's, back in the back, this is Andrea Hammond.
Oh. Well, we're excited to have you, thank you. Appreciate you coming.
We won't overwhelm you with ideas, that's for sure.
Well, Aaron will. All right, is there anybody else? All right, so the next thing on our agenda is the city manager's report, so.
Thank you. Just to go along with, welcoming Andrea, we have thrown her in the fire as well. The 17 grants and trying to, have her take those, you know, and just get those off. We only have another 10 days or so to get all the applications in. We're getting close with, all the projected costs for these, projects that we should have really soon. So anyway, I'm grateful for her and for everyone there's been a ton of work going on trying to get these to where it is right now. So just wanna thank them. I also wanted to mention, we do have, this is a, employee event, but I think the council was also invited to this too, but we have a cleanup of I-80, from exit 211 to 215, it's this Thursday, September 23rd, from 9 a.m. till lunchtime, and we're meeting over at the fire station too, so that'll be a great event that, the city takes on each year to clean the highway. This is just a reminder, I think you may already have this on your calendar, but January 15th, which is a Saturday, we have confirmed to do our strategic planning, and we used to call this retreat, but I want to call it a work session if I could. So mark that on your calendars. Also, if I could, just from our meeting earlier, the work session, I did hear one or two things, as far as maybe things that I could look into with myself or with staff on the zero, waste energy. Is there anything real specific that the council, if you have anything that you'd like us to do some research on, please let me know, maybe in the next section here. Also, I think all of you have received some new updates on the strategic plan, so hopefully you all have a copy of that, and we continue to make great progress on this plan. So take a minute to read through some of the things that we're continuing to work on. And then lastly, and also on the next section here, if you have any feedback on the Latino Fest, and I'm kind of curious just on the amount of city involvement you'd like us to have on the next one, and just if you have any thoughts on that, I'd like to hear about that as well. So that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Next thing on the agenda is the city council reports and direction to the city manager. I just got a cramp in my leg. If I can't get a bar, it's not me. Sorry about that. Does anybody have anything I have a few things I want to talk about, but does anybody have anything on this? The only thing I would like to say is I would like to thank Sean and Linda and Travis Moore, actually, is the one that invited us to that C-130 landing on 287, and thank you guys for going, and I explained all of you how I was given a chance to bring two people, so their names came out of the hat, and that's the way it went. I did go to the golf tournament and represented the city, and had the good fortune of handing each one of the players and the first responders and veterans and the golfers, I guess, a commemorative ball and flag, and so I did represent the city for that. I attended meetings in Saratoga, the Wyoming Business Alliance. It was really interesting. It was on special invite, and I was for sure the quietest guy in the back room in the corner, but I learned a lot of different things, and I've met a few people that will help us on some of the future projects, like our abandoned buildings and such like that. And that's it. Anybody else? All right. So we will go on to the next
thing on our agenda is the ordinance on the second reading, on this. I want to explain one thing before we go any further. At the last meeting, there was some, questions about whether I had a conflict of interest. I didn't know where it was coming from. I wasn't sure exactly what they were talking about, but to, err on the side of caution, I did walk out of the room. I did not want to do anything wrong. I have talked to my attorney. I have no conflict of interest whatsoever. I work for that company, as a contractor now and then. I haven't done any work for a couple of years, so I am not gonna recuse myself on this today. And I just wanted to explain why I did and why I didn't, okay? So with that, I would entertain a motion. Councilman Smith?
I move to approve on second reading and waive the reading of ordinance amending proposed changes to Rollins Municipal Code Section 8.08, refuge, construction, and demolition materials.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve on second reading and waive the reading of of ordinance amending proposed changes to Rollins Municipal Code Section 8.08, refuge, construction and demolition materials, excuse me. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, would you please open online voting?
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 4 yeas and 1 abstain, and that was Councilmember Gardner.
All right, thank you. The next thing on our agenda is the third and final reading of a municipal code. I would entertain a motion there. Where am I at here? Okay, I'm sorry. Councilman Durst?
I move to approve on third and final reading the ordinance amending Rollins Municipal Code Section 19.40.050 fencing, hereby permitting the use of livestock fencing outside of a RA zone for tree, shrub, garden, and flower bed protection only, and waive reading of the ordinance.
Is there a second? Councilman Smith seconds. There's been a motion made and seconded to approve on third and final reading of an ordinance amending Rollins Municipal Code Section 19.40.050 fencing, hereby permitting the use of livestock fencing outside of the RA zone for tree, shrub, garden, and flower bed protection only, and waive reading of the ordinance. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 5 yeas.
Thank you. The next thing on the agenda is, to approve the payroll, or the Councilman Durst.
So Mayor, I move to approve the August 29, 2021 through September 11, 2021 payroll register for $236,866.23.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve the August 29, 2021 through September 11, 2021 payroll register for $236,866.23. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting is closed. The motion passes with 5 yeas.
All right, thank you. The next thing on our agenda is accounts payable. Councilman Smith.
I move to approve the accounts payable register for the period September 1st, 2021 to September 14th, 2021 in the amount of $712,956.07.
Do I hear a second? There's been a motion made and seconded to approve accounts payable register for the period of September 1st, 2021 to September 14th, 2021 in the amount of $712,956.07. Is there any further discussion? I will abstain because, I will be being paid in this, so I will abstain, just so you know. Any further discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed, the motion passes with 4 yeas and 1 abstain, and that was the, Mayor Wyckoff.
All right, thank you. The next thing on our agenda is approval of, application for a transfer station. I would entertain a motion. Councilman Smith.
I move to approve the August 2021 renewal permit application for the City of Rollins Transfer Station for the Department of Environmental Quality.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve the August 2021 renewal permit application for the City of Rollins Transfer Station to the Department of Environmental Quality. Is there any discussion?
Honorable Mayor and Council, this needs, the mayor's signature, and in turn, we send it back to EA. They get the packet together, send it to DEQ, and once it's approved, it'll give us a permit for 25 more years out of the landfill, so we just need a signature from you, and we will get it off in the mail.
Okay, is there any further discussion?
Answer their question on that.
Yeah, so, that is one question, so regardless of whether it's full or empty, it's 25 years.
Yes.
Is that correct? We had a question about that earlier, and that clears that up, thank you. Is there any other questions or comments? All right, please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed, the motion passes with 5 yeas.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, let's see. The next thing on our agenda is to approve a resolution, about the change order. I will entertain a motion. Councilman Durst.
I move to approve a resolution of the governing body of the City of Rollins authorizing change order 1 to the 2020 Streets Project Full Street Section Rebuild, adding the removal of a problematic fire hydrant and the installation of a replacement fire hydrant on Delta Street that was not included in the original bid.
There's been a motion made and seconded to move, to approve a resolution of the governing body of the City of Rollins authorizing change order 1 to the 2020, street project, full street section rebuild, adding the removal of a problematic fire hydrant, and the installation of a replacement fire hydrant on Delta Street that was not included in the original bid. Is there any further discussion? Cody?
So change order came in a full rebuild, it came out to be $19,150, or $162.50 for the removal and installation of the fire hydrant on Delta Court. The fire hydrant has been a problem for years. Everybody thought it was a marshland that was behind it. It turned out it was a leaky fire hydrant, and at that point, we had, Delta Court completely torn up, which was can compromise or make the ground wet, which is gonna not bode well for the reconstruction of the street. So, to make the project go forward in an expedient path, we had to do it. We're getting a lot of complaints on that one from the residents. They're trying to let everything dry out, and it just wasn't happening with that leaky fire hydrant. So we had to move forward and just get it replaced so we could finish up that complete rebuild of Delta Court.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed, the motion passes with 5 yeas.
Thank you, Cody. All right, the next thing on our agenda is a resolution, authorizing an amendment to the budget. I would entertain a motion. Councilman Martinez.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve a resolution authorizing amendment to the fiscal year 2021-2022 municipal budget to reflect the city's portion of matching funds for the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, by the Wyoming Community Development Authority and the WCDA for 17 grants.
Do I hear a second? Councilman Smith seconds it. So there's been a motion made and seconded to approve a resolution authorizing amendment to the fiscal year 2021-2022 municipal budget to reflect the city's portion of matching funding for the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, by the Wyoming Community Development Authority, WCDA, for 17 grants. Is there any further discussion? Jody?
There's a couple things on here on the resolution I would like to highlight. If you look down towards the bottom of the first page, and then go up a few, 3, you'll see whereas Fund 15, Parks and Recreation, is an extension of the general fund and not considered an enterprise fund. The general fund transfer of $175,000 to Parks and Rec, and such transfer is not considered a loan. I just want to make that clear. I put that in there because I don't want it to get confused with, well, why aren't we doing one for the Parks and Rec if we're doing a loan for the water? So that's a clarification. I want to be absolutely clear that extension does exist, and so therefore we do not need to do a loan.
It is not an enterprise fund.
Correct. I want to go just right above there. If Amy so approves, it says, whereas the transfer of the $575,000 to the water fund is considered a loan, then with the phrase, as evidenced by the attached document. That attached document is the loan agreement, but I still have to do that. So if it's okay, I'd like to strike that from this. There is I think, a small possibility in the future the auditor might ding us on that. I don't think that would really happen, but there is that possibility, anything's possible. So if it's okay, I'd like to have that section removed. Can we do a friendly amendment on that?
Yeah, just, with the possibility that the audit will find a deficiency in your internal controls and return that in your audit. But in this instance, you're weighing that against, the millions of dollars in grant funding that you're trying to move forward with.
I think that's still unlikely, but it's possible. I see it more as a do from, with the loan agreement just as a formality. There is that possibility, but I really don't think that should hold this up.
Is that agreeable with you, Amy?
I defer to her, and her expertise as a CPA. My knowledge is limited to the municipal annual budget returns that rely heavily on internal controls and providing business type activity, procedures. And so based upon my limited view, you would have a loan document, presented to you, identifying the original loan amount, the interest, annual principal and interest payments secured. The auditor would then come in and identify what the balance of that loan is at that time, what the amount due is within a year. Clearly you don't have that before you tonight, but she's going to prepare that for you and bring it to you to ratify at a later date.
And as I've mentioned, I've never had to do this before, but, I think what I have spoken to as far as the terms of that note would hold, and there's not gonna be anything due in the next several years, so I don't see personally, I don't see any problems with it.
Okay. Any further discussion? Councilman Joyce?
I don't totally understand so you wanna strike the language about the loan?
No, about the attached document, because I haven't had time to prepare that attached document.
It will be a loan, it's just the document is not here at this
So,
time.
because it says where the transfer of this to the water is considered a loan evidenced by the attached documents. So you're saying it would read,
Fund is-
dollars to the water fund is considered a loan,
Period.
and then period.
Yes,
So we just wanna strike the language as evidenced by the attached documents.
yes.
Okay.
And
Sorry,
I think the fact
okay,
that
okay.
we have, that this is considered a loan is sufficient in this resolution as a standalone.
Okay,
Who made the motion?
Hold on, Martinez did, and, Councilmember Smith seconded.
Would you accept that as a friendly
Yes,
amendment?
I would.
Yes, I would.
Okay, we're good. Are we good? Any other discussion? Open online voting? Oh, okay. We're not trying to rush you, take your time.
We need two friendly amendments. It also includes the recycling fund right below it. So you need to have a friendly amendment to remove any evidence or any discussion regarding the attached document.
I do.
Well, it's regarding recycling and water.
Oh, okay.
Because it's twice in the
So the next line says the very same thing. Transfer of 10,000 to the recycling fund is considered a loan as evidenced by the attached documents.
So we'll remove,
Oh.
as evidenced by the attached documents there also.
On both,
Yeah.
on both lines.
Do you accept that?
I do.
All right.
Is that, okay.
Is that done properly? Okay. Now, please open online. When you get caught up.
Okay. All right, online voting is open. Online voting has closed, the motion passes with 5 yeas.
Thank you. The next thing on the agenda is, resolution authorizing submission of another WCDA grant. I would entertain a motion. Councilman Durst?
I move to approve a resolution authorizing the submission of a Wyoming Community Development Authority, WCDA, Community Development Block Grant application for the purpose of identifying and repairing leaks in the existing 20-inch main pipeline that supplies raw water from the Sage Creek Basin Springs and wells to the city of Rollins.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve a resolution authorizing submission of a Wyoming Community Development Authority, WCDA, Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, application for the purpose of identifying and repairing leaks in the existing 20-inch main pipeline that supplies raw water from the Sage Creek Basin Springs and wells to the city of Rollins. Is there any further discussion?
Just a comment that these are the leaks that the community knows about. That's what we're talking about, all the varying leaks that we need to fix in our water system.
Okay, any further discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting is closed, the motion passes with 5 yeas.
Okay, thank you. The next thing on our agenda is, item G, approve a resolution authorizing submission of a grant. I would entertain a motion. Councilman Garner?
I move to approve a resolution authorizing submission of Wyoming Community Development Authority Community Development Block Grant application for the purpose of repairing and improving critical roadway in the Sage Creek Basin to ensure access to the city of Rollins spring and well sites.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve a resolution authorizing submission of a Wyoming Community Development Authority, Community Development Block Grant, application for the purpose of repairing and improving critical roadway in the Sage Creek Basin to ensure access to the city of Rollins Springs, spring and well sites. Is there any further discussion?
On the tour, we saw some of these roads, you have to have a four-wheeler to get on these roads, and if we're able, you know, we need to be able to maintain our wells and everything that's going on up there, so we really need to improve these roads.
I don't understand how access will help you.
Just 'cause you can carry a tractor. All right, any further discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed, the motion passes with 5 yeas.
All right, thank you. The next thing on our agenda is to approve a resolution, on another grant. Councilman Smith?
I move to approve a resolution authorizing submission of a Wyoming Community Development Authority, WCDA Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, application for the purpose of replacing the city of Rollins system of a 90-year flat old wood state pipeline, critical for collecting our spring and well water throughout the Sage Creek Basin.
Second?
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve a resolution authorizing submission of a Wyoming Community Development Authority, WCDA Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, application for the purpose of replacing the city of Rollins system of 90-plus-year-old wood state pipelines critical for collecting our spring and well water throughout the Sage Creek Basin. Is there any discussion? Sean?
Hopefully we'll be able to get this money, because we need a lot more money to address this one. The wood state pipeline, there's a lot of it, and we'll take all the money that we can get, hopefully, through the CDBG grant.
Any further discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Thank you, Mayor. Online voting has closed, the motion passes with 5 yeas.
All right, the next thing on our agenda is to approve another resolution authorizing submission of a grant. Councilman, Garnet?
We're on aye, right?
Aye.
Okay. Move to approve a resolution authorizing submission of Wyoming Community Development Authority, WCDA, Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, application for the purpose of repairing the cathodic protection system of the city of Rollins 20-inch main raw water line from the Sage Creek Basin.
Second?
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve a resolution authorizing submission of a Wyoming Community Development Authority, WCDA, Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, application for the purpose of repairing the cathodic protection system of the city of Rollins 20-inch main raw water line from the Sage Creek Basin. Is there any further discussion? Sean?
Maybe for community members that are listening to this one, the cathodic protection is a technique to be able to reduce the corrosion that happens within our line. So it's really important, and it extends the life of our line. And, engineers have identified our need to make improvements in this area.
Any further discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed, the motion passes with 5 yeas.
Thank you. The next thing on our agenda is another resolution authorizing submission of another grant. I would entertain a motion. Councilman Smith?
I move to approve a resolution authorizing submission of a Wyoming Community Development Authority, WCDA Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, application for the purpose of replacing the 2+ miles of sole transmission water line from the water tank farm to the city of Rollins with polyvinyl chloride PVC pipe.
Second?
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve a resolution authorizing submission of a Wyoming Community Development Authority, WCDA Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, application for the purpose of replacing the 2+ miles of sole transmission water line from the water tank to the city of Rollins with, polyvinyl chloride PVC pipe. Is there any further discussion? Sean?
Prior to me coming to the city, Danielle told me that she had, got with some engineers to do a study on this line. They identified that this line was in need of replacement, so this is something that really does need to be done.
Any further discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting is closed, the motion passes with 5 yeas.
Thank you. The next thing on our agenda is another resolution authorizing submission of another grant. I would entertain a motion. Councilman Martinez?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion we pass this resolution authorizing submission of the WCDA CDBG grant application, updating the supervisory control and data acquisition system, SCADA, at the city water treatment plant.
Second, did somebody second that? Councilman Durst, thank you. There's been a motion made and seconded to approve a resolution authorizing submission of a Wyoming Community Development Authority Community Development Block Grant application for the purpose of updating this supervisory control and data acquisition system, SCADA, at the city's water treatment plant. Is there any discussion? Sean?
It's my understanding that our current SCADA system really is out of date, and their engineers have told us that we do need to upgrade this. I know we have a couple of SCADA experts in our room, but there's different ways that we can automate our processes by upgrading SCADA, and also the security of SCADA too, that we're keeping, our system safe. And so with the upgrades, we'll be able to do that.
Is there any further discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting is closed, the motion passes with 5 yeas.
Thank you very much. We're on number L, correct? All right, I would entertain a motion for this resolution. Councilman Durst?
I move to approve a resolution authorizing submission of a Wyoming Community Development Authority Community Development Block Grant application for the purpose of building a 3 million gallon filtered water storage tank at the city of Rollins Tank Farm located north of the water treatment plant.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve a resolution authorizing submission of a Wyoming Community Development Authority Community Development Block Grant application for the purpose of building a 3 million gallon filtered water storage tank at the city of Rollins Tank Farm located north of the water treatment plant. Is there any further discussion? Sean?
These two larger tanks have been identified that they do need replacement. They're old, and it's one of the questions that I had as well. We have, I think there's 7.5 million, I believe is what they are, and then we're going to 3. So the natural question is, well, why would we want to reduce our capacity? But I think, in visiting with Carl, there's some issues with, trying to keep that water clean, when you have a lot more and it's sitting there stagnant. We don't need to have that much of a capacity. And I guess, my understanding is that we had, bigger ones put in place because at the time we didn't have the reservoirs. Now that we have the reservoirs, the larger capacity below the treatment plant isn't as necessary.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting voting has closed, the motion passes with 5 yeas.
Thank you very much. The next thing on our agenda is another resolution, authorizing a grant submission. Councilman Martinez?
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to pass a resolution authorizing submission of a WCDA CDBG grant application for analyzing and mitigating proposed special flood hazard area.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve a resolution authorizing submission of a Wyoming, Community Development Authority Community Development Block Grant application for the purpose of analyzing and mitigating a proposed special flood hazard area. Is there any discussion? Sean again?
This should be a real meaningful one to the residents too, that fall within the floodplain. If we can, put some infrastructure in place to mitigate that floodplain, then we can essentially prevent them from having those insurance increases, and so this is a really important one.
Hugely important. Councilman Martinez?
Mr. Mayor, this is really important to let the residents know that we're working on the problem of this floodplain. Gonna give them if it works out, we'll give them some relief on how we're gonna handle it. I've had a lot of calls on it.
It's a little scary.
Yes.
You know, I hope we're successful at this. Any further discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed, the motion passes with 5 yeas.
Thank you. The next thing on our agenda is another, resolution authorizing a grant. I would entertain a motion. Councilman Smith?
I move to approve a resolution authorizing submission of a Wyoming Community Development Authority, WCDA, Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, application for the purpose of repairing curbs, gutter, and sidewalk on the bulb out on Cedar Street and create additional bulb outs on Fourth and Fifth Street.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
So there's been a motion made and seconded to approve a resolution authorizing submission of a Wyoming Community Development Authority, WCDA, Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, application for the purpose of repairing curb, gutter, and sidewalk on the bulb outs on Cedar Street and create additional bulb outs on Fourth and Fifth Streets. Is there any discussion? Sean?
We've actually had a couple of community, concerns that have been brought up on some of the sidewalks there, some tripping hazards. The gutters they're a little too big, like my kid's legs would slip right through there, honestly. It's that big. There's just some issues that do need to be addressed, safety issues for our community members.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed, the motion passes with 5 yeas.
Thank you. The next thing on the agenda is another, submission of a grant application. I would entertain a motion. Councilman Garner?
Oh, jump in. I move to approve a resolution authorizing submission of Wyoming Community Development Authority's WCDA Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, application for the purpose of adding additional lighting and replacing non-functional lighting in downtown Rawlins.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve a resolution authorizing submission of a Wyoming Community Development Authority, WCDA Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, application for the purpose of adding additional lighting and replacing non-functional lighting in downtown Rawlins. Is there any, discussion? Sean?
With any lighting, there's a lot that needs to be replaced in downtown, a lot that's going out, and improving that lighting will create a safer, better environment for our residents downtown, so I think this will be very helpful and welcome.
Any further discussion?
open. Online voting has closed, the motion passes with 5 yeas.
Thank you. The next thing on our agenda is another resolution authorizing, grant. Councilman Smith?
Yes, I move to approve a resolution authorizing submission of a Wyoming Community Development Authority Community Development Block Grant application for the purpose of improving Rockaway Park to meet Americans with Disabilities Act, which is ADA, guidelines and compliance.
Second.
Been a motion made and seconded to approve a resolution authorizing submission of a Wyoming Community Development Authority, WCDA Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, application for the purpose of improving Rockaway Park to meet Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, guidelines and compliance. Is there any discussion? Sean?
Yeah, the goal on this park is to really replace everything with ADA stuff, to make this kind of an ADA park for people, residents that, you know, have those difficulties, or people with disabilities can go to a location and actually be able to utilize that.
At least have one nice place.
Yep.
Very important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any further discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed, the motion passes with 5 yeas.
Thank you. By the way, I forgot your name in the back, grant writer.
Andrea Gaddis?
Oh, we do this many grants every meeting, just so you know. Sorry.
Once whenever she comes in.
I had to, I'm sorry. Okay, the next thing on our agenda is authorizing submission of a grant application. I would, entertain a motion for Q. Councilman Durst.
I move to approve a resolution authorizing submission of a Wyoming Community Development Authority Community Development Block Grant application for the purpose of improving Washington Park restroom access to meet the Americans with Disabilities Act guidelines and compliance.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to, approve a resolution authorizing submission of a Wyoming Community Development Authority Community Development Block Grant application for the purpose of improving Washington Park restroom access, to, meet Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA guidelines and compliance. Is there any discussion? Sean?
Yeah, this one's pretty straightforward. It's just making improvements for ADA accessibility in the park and of course within the restroom, so I don't have a whole ton to add to this one.
Is there any further discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed, the motion passes with 5 yeas.
Thank you. The next thing on the agenda is a resolution approving submission of a grant. I would entertain a motion. Councilman Martinez?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to authorize submission of the Wyoming Community Development, Authority, WCDA Community Development Block Grant, and CDBG application for the purpose of improving Bolton Park restroom access to meet Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA guidelines and compliance.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Been a motion made and seconded to approve a resolution authorizing submission of a Wyoming Community Development Authority, WCDA, Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, application for the purpose of improving Bolton Park restrooms access to meet Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA guidelines and compliance. Is there any discussion? Sean?
This is similar to the last one, that we just want to make our parks as accessible as possible for those with disabilities, and I know that means a great deal to a lot of people.
Oh, it really does. You know, I spent a year and a half in a wheelchair, and I'm gonna tell you, that was before these things. This is so necessary. Anyway, any further discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed, the motion passes with 5 yeas.
Okay, thank you. I would entertain a, motion for this, next resolution authorizing submission of a grant. Councilman Durst.
I move to approve a resolution authorizing submission of a Wyoming Community Development Authority Community Development Block Grant application for the purpose of providing critical personal protective equipment and medical equipment for the Rawlins Fire Department.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve a resolution authorizing submission of a Wyoming Community Development Authority Community Development Block Grant application for the purpose of providing critical personal protection equipment, PPE, and the medical equipment for the Rawlins Fire Department. Is there any further discussion? Sean?
The fire department desires to provide the best possible service to our residents, and getting this personal protection equipment and medical equipment gives them that opportunity to provide the best service to our residents, so this will really help.
Any further discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed, the motion passes with 5 yeas.
Thank you. The next thing is another, resolution authorizing submission of a grant. I would entertain a motion. Councilman Garner.
I move to approve, number 15, a resolution authorizing submission of Wyoming Community Development Authority, WCDA, Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, application for the purpose of adding additional storage for recycling materials near the current recycling center.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve, number 15, a resolution authorizing submission of a Wyoming Community Development Authority, WCDA, Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, application for the purpose of adding additional storage for recycling materials near the current recycling center. Is there any discussion? Sean?
Yes, this item's been discussed a couple times with city council to improve our ability to handle how much recycling material that we've been receiving, and having this, essentially lean-to or additional location to store this will really help the recycling center to not only make us a little bit more profitable, but just to be able to handle how much more of, materials that's been coming in this year, especially this year.
Any further discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed, the motion passes with 5 yeas.
Thank you very much. Next thing on our agenda is another, request or authorizing submission of a grant. Councilman Smith.
I move to approve resolution authorizing submission of a Wyoming Community Development Authority Community Development Block Grant application for the purpose of updating interior and exterior facility lighting to light emitting diode LED lights and adding motion detector switches.
Councilman Garner seconds it. So there's been a motion made and seconded to approve a resolution authorizing submission of a Wyoming Community Development Authority Community Development Block Grant application for the purpose of updating interior and exterior, facility lighting to, light emitting diode LED lights and adding motion detector switches. Is there any discussion? Sean?
We have a lot of buildings, as you can see if you just look up, that we don't have LED lighting, and with a lot of buildings, that comes a lot of cost. And so this is a really good one, for the community. I think if we can make these improvements and motion detectors, we can save money for the city. We can save that money, we can
discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. The motion passes with 5 yeas.
Thank you. The next thing on our agenda is a resolution authorizing submission of another grant. I would entertain a motion. Councilman Garner.
I move to approve a resolution authorizing the submission of Wyoming Community Development Authority, WCDA, Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, application for the purpose of updating the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, HVAC systems at the City of Rawlins City Hall and Public Works Community Development Building.
Councilman Smith seconds. So there's been a motion made and seconded to approve a resolution authorizing submission of the Wyoming Community Development Authority, WCDA Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, application for the purpose of updating the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning HVAC system at the City of Rawlins City Hall and Public Works Community Development Building. Is there any further discussion? And Sean?
Our HVAC systems are really old and they have problems, and I would suspect, just like the last one, that if they're improved, so will our bills on energy too. So I think this is another really good one for the city. And where this is the last one, I just wanna make one more comment, that this is really cool that all of, the employees right around me were the ones that came up with all of this and all these needs and identified it along with CDBG to kind of align those. So crossing our fingers that we can get as many of these as possible, and props to them.
Thank you. I would also say that, I appreciate that this is a lot of hard work putting all these things together, and I realize we have run through them as fast as we can tonight, because most of us have a really good understanding of what the needs are anyway. But the work that went into, identifying these needs and then getting it to this point it does not go unnoticed, just so you all know, and I do appreciate it. Councilman Smith?
Yes, since it's our last one, do we have a tally on how much we are asking from WCDA?
It's over 10 million, let's see.
It's in a resolution.
Yeah, let me find it.
And I think that, we visited with these folks too, so these have been working with that department too, so I'm really hopeful that we'll get the majority of these.
You have the number?
Yeah.
Here it is.
We are requesting a grand total of $10,550,000, and then we have a 10% match of, is it $1,055,000, or, yeah, just $1,055,000, so for every dollar we're contributing, we're getting $9 back.
Hopefully that works out.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Just, a little update from the CDBG office that we're submitting these to. They told me that they received a total of 61 letters of intent, and we're, basically a third of that almost. And then what goes from letters of intent to the actual application is probably gonna be less, but anyway, again, just crossing our fingers, we'll try and get as much as we can.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't get it if you don't ask for it.
Yeah.
And if we ask for it this time and we're not successful, they might be more receptive next time, so. Any further discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed, the motion passes with 5 yeas.
Thank you very much. The next thing on our, agenda is, an executive session. I would entertain a motion. Councilman Smith?
I move that we go into executive session at 9:19 PM pursuant to Wyoming Statute 16-4-405-9 and 2, to consider or receive any information classified as confidential by law, and to consider the appointment, employment, right to practice, or dismissal of a public officer, professional person or employee, or to hear complaints or charge brought against an employee, professional person or officer unless the employee, professional person, or officer requests a public hearing. The governing body may exclude from any public or private hearing during the examination of a witness, any or all other witnesses in the matter being investigated. Following the hearing or executive session, the governing body may deliberate on its decision in executive session.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to enter into executive session per Wyoming statute 16-4-405 to consider or receive any information classified as confidential by law and to consider the appointment, employment, right to practice or dismissal of a public officer, professional person or employee, or to hear complaints or charges brought against an employee, professional person or officer, unless the employee, professional person or officer requests a public hearing. The governing body may exclude from any public or private hearing during the examination of a witness any or all witnesses in the matter being investigated. Following the hearing or executive session, the governing body may deliberate on its decision in executive session. Is there, any further discussion? Hearing none, we will, go into executive session.
You gotta vote.
Oh, wait a minute, we gotta vote, what am I talking about?
That's okay, online voting is open.
I looked at the agenda, I'm skipping steps.
Online voting has closed, the motion passes with 5 yeas.
Thank you. And again, for you city employees that came here and sat through all this boring stuff to kind of hear how it goes, thank you for, all that you do. It is well appreciated.
Good work bringing us through that super long agenda.